All right, good evening. It is Tuesday, October 24th, 6 p.m. I call this meeting of the North Brookfield Board of Selectmen to order. If you all rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So we have a bunch of minutes to approve tonight. I'm getting caught up on some of those. We have 3 sets of minutes that we were all at, and we have 2 sets of minutes that Brooke and John were there. So we'll do those as a slate, 2 separate slates. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of October 10th, September 26th, and May 16th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for August 29th and May 23rd.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve payroll warrant number 9 for $357,571.64. School warrant number 1027 for $75,138.24. General warrant number 1030 for $310,727.64. General warrant number 1031 for $1,050. CDBG NB 21 as the Community Development Block Grant 1028 for $32,160.78. And sewer warrant number 1032 for $307.02.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So, first thing that we're going to talk about, and I don't see anything here that outlines it at all, but the water main hydrant for Donovan Road from East Brookfield Road up to Huck's. Do we know what that's going to cost? Is highway here at all? No, highway's not here.
It was $80,000.
Meeting tomorrow.
It was $80,000 to buy the pipe,
Just to buy the pipe.
and highway and the water department were gonna perform the digging, the road work.
Okay. Do we know why it got taken out of the original plan?
I didn't know it was in the original plan, or who took it out, because we didn't take it out.
Since we're meeting with that group tomorrow at 4:30, I'd like to make a motion to table this until that meeting, and then we can get clarification.
Yep,
Second?
second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have ARPA committee project recommendations. We have 3 of them. We have, so at their meeting on Thursday, October 19th, the ARPA committee voted to submit the following spending recommendations for our approval from the town's ARPA funds. So the first one's $100,000 to fund the salary, benefits, and our associated expenses of a town administrator. This recommendation is in addition to the funds previously approved by the Board of Selectmen for the same use, bringing the total for this item to $300,000. The second one is $7,500 to the fire department for 2 sets of turnout gear. And the third one is $30,000 to the water department to supplement funds for preventative maintenance to the concrete water tank. All right, so we'll do one at a time. So I'll entertain a motion to approve $100,000 to fund the salary, benefits, and/or associated expenses of a town administrator This recommendation is in addition to funds previously approved by the Board of Selectmen for the same use, bringing the total for this item to $300,000.
So moved.
Second.
All right, now discussion.
I think that should be held off until we decide if we're gonna get a town administrator. And that's further down here, and there's a lot of opposition to that, I'm hearing, so that amount of money should stay in that account. I didn't know we had that much. I thought there was 240 some odd thousand, which was the last number that I had, and if you spend all this money, and then you're not gonna have whatever they're looking for. I don't know how that worked out, I didn't see the final of what they have left, but this is a bogus amount, because we don't even know if we're gonna get a town administrator at this point. So that one needs to go away, in my opinion. So
And
I would like to amend that and take it out of context, take it out of play right now.
And I would challenge that and just say that I think that the administrative committee, search committee needs to know the budget that they're working with in order to continue moving forward. But I do agree that maybe we could table that vote until after we've heard from the town administrator committee and what their thoughts are and responses are. But I would actually like to see it go back up to 400,000, the original 400,000, because I think then we get a solid 3 years out of an expert employee.
The ARPA committee, the town administrator committee should be bringing this to the Board of Selectmen, because they're the advisory committee, not the ARPA committee, because the ARPA.
Well, they are here,
They're here.
and Tim's.
So we're doing this backwards, apparently.
Well,
because-
no, they're two separate issues. The money is separate from the job description that we're gonna be talking about. So, we'll do one thing at a time, and we'll get it all accordingly. Since you are here, you wanna address why you wanted an additional 100,000 and.
Yes, so as a committee, and we're not, it'd be great to have the 400,000. $200,000 based on our research and what we've looked at with neighboring towns, similar positions with the qualifications we're looking for is basically a non-starter at this point. 300,000 gives us a chance, maybe not in the years in a contract, but it gets us an opportunity to get someone who's qualified for the job to come in and do the work. This is not a town where we could have someone who is brand new as our first option, which would be what we're looking at with a $200,000 budget. This town needs a lot of work. We've had numerous conversations about that. The fact that we're even here having this conversation shows progress, because this has been in the town's plan from documents I've read since 2007 at least. And to have the availability of funds with which we can then seek out a qualified person, qualified being the most important part of this, and cover potential benefits. The idea is to use these funds to get a person in a position that could help the town without affecting the town's immediate bottom line for a period of years, where they can establish themselves and determine what the next steps are, and hopefully to end up paying for themselves even more over than what we're actually paying them over time. But we have to have flexibility to offer a qualified person a reasonable contract to get them in here.
Okay.
Ideally, 400,000 would be great, but we, as a committee, think we can work with 300 if that's where we are.
All right. Did you want to ask any follow-up questions?
No, I think it should be taken out of play, that $100,000. We gave them $200,000, and apparently they can't work within that space, and I think it should be, if anything, I have something to read later on, once we read their paperwork, but that's down the road, so
Do you
if
have
we
any
can.
follow-up questions?
No, not at this time.
Tara?
Okay, since 2007, this is going to take 2 minutes. All studies done about North Brookfield have recommended the hiring of an administrator. These studies were done to advise the town how to proceed with navigating the future. They're on the website for anyone who wants to read them. Got them right here. The town is essentially a $16 million business. The part-time Board of Selectmen are the chief executive officers. A town administrator would be the chief operating officer and report to the Board of Selectmen. And they would give daily oversight of the town and its budget. Our volunteer ARPA and finance committees, appointed by this board, are advisory only, and the BOS has the final say. The ARPA committee, following the advice of the previously mentioned reports and doing their research, made a recommendation for $400,000. The BOS cut it to $200,000. And I agree with Tim, it's grossly inefficient to give this a fair chance to work. We went into the current fiscal year over $600,000 in the red. We borrowed from our savings and underfunded another line item to balance our budget. We did this hoping we'd be able to level fund the other item and replenish our savings from free cash. Free cash isn't free. It is monies we have received, saved, or generated outside of the original budget. And we're facing another budget shortfall. How are we going to fund it? We do have infrastructure projects that need to be done. However, we have grants that are still pending for many of them, and we've done borrowing for others. We have used ARPA funds for some projects. ARPA funds need to be allocated and used within a certain period. Some of these projects we need to have done will not be ready in time to use the ARPA funds. We have departments who could be applying for grants, but it isn't part of their job. True, but we all do things that aren't part of our jobs. A town administrator would be able to facilitate all of these things. They would give daily oversight of the $16 million budget, review the salaries of all employees to ensure salaries are equitable and raises beyond cost of living are based on merit, make sure all contracts are legal, ensure that citizen questions and concerns are being addressed and answered timely, attend all collective bargaining negotiations to represent the best interest of the town, review all insurance policies, assist in purchasing contracts for best pricing and follow state procurement law, understand and follow state and federal laws, knowledge to oversee municipal construction projects, which are different from private, provide grant oversight, and a non-biased review to see where cuts can be made. And if anyone wants any clarification, let me know.
Thank you. Anybody else? Joanne? She was first.
John Brown.
That kind of money sounds like a town manager, not
Nope.
a town administrator.
No, it would be a town administrator, period.
Okay.
We
so
have a job description right here we're gonna read later.
Okay, great, so that means that the selectmen do not lose their statutory powers?
No, we will not lose autonomy.
Oh,
Right.
okay, and they have the power
Yep.
if the administrator doesn't work out
Yep.
to let that person go?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And that's the thing too, because we have a limited budget on this and we're putting money in to get one for however many years we can. If it's not working, contract ends, they go away, we go back to the way we're doing it.
It just seems very high for an administrator. I mean, a manager has a lot more education and expertise than an administrator.
Not necessarily. Herbie?
So Tara, you had mentioned a timeline on the opera funds. Do you know what that is? How long the timeline is?
Has to be allocated by, I believe, the end of '25
24.
and
24.
spent by the end of '26?
Yes.
Yep.
Spent by the end of '26. So allocated '24, sorry, misspoke.
And then, Tim, you actually mentioned something about, them actually being able to pay for themselves. What did you have in mind by that? How did that position actually pay for itself?
The idea is to, by better tracking the actual expenses of the town, find where we're maybe missing grant opportunities, we're missing recurring things that might slip through the cracks, and to get everyone operating more efficiently. One of the things that was in, I forget if it was the master plan or if it was one of the other things I was reading, but it was talking about regular all-department meetings to reduce overlap. For one of the simpler examples is, you know, a water main breaks or something, they have to cut up the road, they repave it, then they go back to fix it again, repave it again, but then highway is not involved in paving that road until a certain point. So you can't do anything about a break, but it's the redundancy of work and trying to get everyone on the same page. There's additional opportunities just to have everything documented, a central location where when people have problems from the town, they know who to go to, and they can disseminate it out. It's an efficiency thing. I've heard complaints about people not getting responses from whoever they're reaching out to in town. Then you have a central person to log in that item that came through, and to then respond to it and direct it to the person and then follow up. That alone is more of a customer service thing.
Right, because again.
But then when you get into actual running, well, first of all, we don't have a really good way of tracking our long-term planning in the town. A central person that could organize things and kind of stack them so that we're making consistent progress saves money from redundancy and going back and doing extra work on things that don't need to be done.
Right.
The other way, the more cut and dry way would be them being able to track grants and bring money into the town that's free money from the state, you know, well, it's money from the state that would come into the town and offset the cost of having them, which virtually any town administrator from what we've talked to knows that's what they're doing. They're justifying themselves being there. And they're working for the select board, who can terminate them if they're not doing it.
Right. Because it sounds like this position, you know, again, to save $100,000 for the salary, it's going to take more than a year just to be able to get to that point.
Yes.
Again, you know, so one of the big things that you had mentioned was, you know, being able to generate enough money through grants, potentially. And then the other one, it definitely seems like more of a management type oversee.
The biggest thing right now, and the reason we're asking for additional funds, is to seek out a qualified person who can come in and handle what we've got going on in this town. A person who has previous experience and like a good track record at another location or another town. We can lure them in here and then they can hit the ground running, as opposed to spending that first year just trying to get caught up to things. So by having some flexibility in what we're offering, we feel it lets us get a qualified candidate who have an immediate impact, and as opposed to a warm-up period.
So, before we get more into the weeds of the job of the town administrator, we are going to be looking at the job description that the committee provided to us. So, we'll be going over that later, so if we could just keep it to the money part for now, that would be good.
In summary, more money will help us have flexibility to get a qualified person and they can have an immediate impact on the town.
And give it a time.
3 years.
So, anyone else?
I've got a question.
Yep.
What happens if you get a bad person and they, like, destroy the town?
Well, that's up to the selectmen, and we'll be monitoring that.
So,
And obviously with the search committee and the job description and follow through, we're gonna, hopefully we won't have that problem. But it depends, and then if we end up with, 5 or 6 people that just don't look good, we just won't hire anybody.
so the experience that I've seen in towns that I've lived in with a town administrator and churches that have then hired executive pastors, there's disasters and then there's marginal, like, applications on both sides. So what's the plan if there's a disaster? Like, what's the exit plan? Because it seems like that would be responsible to begin with.
Part of that would be, it would have to be worked into the contract.
And the town bylaws, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah,
But
it would be a bylaw change too.
Yes.
You need a bylaw change to be able to make sure that you can, like, cut bait fast when you see things that are, because, again, I was reading this over, this looks like a lot of power inside of one person.
It is.
Yeah.
But again, it all goes back to the answer to the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
So it wouldn't be a worthy job if they didn't have a little bit of power. Because we meet, you know, things have to wait for us to have a meeting. You know, we have to post it, we have to have the meeting, you know, and, you know, we're only here, you know, we're part-time, you know. So,
I was in a town that had a town administrator, and they were sneaky and basically had no accountability, and people
Well-
lost homes because they managed it in a way that then confiscated those. You know, listen, I mean, so this is my background on this issue, and so the question is because
so which town?
it's in Chicago, in the Chicago area, so West Chicago will be specifically. But it was very, very difficult to be able to have any kind of accountability with somebody who was hired or somebody who was appointed rather than somebody who was elected. And it made the people have a very, very difficult time to be able to correct any kind of issues. That was a town much bigger than here, it's 25,000, so
Right.
much bigger than here, there are many more issues. But that was a significant, I guess, precaution.
All right, so like I said, we'll dig into that when we start talking about the job description. Anything else on the money? All right,
We're gonna table the money till after the discussion of the description?
I would go for that.
table money?
Table, I'd make a motion to table the approval of the extra 100,000 until after we discuss the position.
Okay. So, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. How much is left in the ARPA account? Does anybody know?
The last I checked, I think there was about $270,000 left, just under $270,000 after we put back in the 50 and then took out the 45.
Okay.
And is that, you know, before or after these funds?
It doesn't include these.
It doesn't include these funds?
No.
Or- Okay.
Right, so if we, I'm just gonna round down and say we have 250,000 because I'm not,
Okay.
247.
that's what it is, 247.
247.
Okay, 247.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the $7,500 for the fire department's 2 sets of turnout gear.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Were you gonna say something?
No. For that? No. They need that.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve $30,000 for the water department to supplement funds for preventive maintenance to the concrete water tank.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
How does this relate to the 100,000 they were asking for maintenance of the water tank?
That is
Do you know?
a percentage of the 100,000 they were asking for,
Okay.
right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
We take 100 to do it totally and out of pocket. If you can do 30, that's wonderful. It's 30, they don't have to redraw.
Okay.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Oh, at least they got something.
Well, they've
Yep.
gotten $458,000 for other stuff
Right.
too. So. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay. We have the contract for the Board of Health and the landfill swales. We sent it out to town council to be looked at. They actually sent a completely new contract back, and it had been gone over with a fine-tooth comb. The engineer, Weston and Sampson, they approved it, the one that we sent them, and it's ready for our signature. So I'll entertain a motion to approve and sign this contract for the landfill swales that we've been needing done for the last 4 years or so.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
This is for the engineering,
Yes.
so does the Board of Health have that money?
There was 75,000 in ARPA funds put aside, so that will come out of ARPA funds.
Okay, so we don't know about the actual,
We don't know the cost of construction yet, that's just to engineer.
so when the cost from construction comes out, how are we gonna fund that?
We'll have to figure that out when we get there. Yeah.
All right.
And I just have a quick question, because we talked about it earlier today, but they're gonna send over the clean copy, and we're
No.
gonna attach,
Town council said that that was fine.
that's what it was?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, thanks for clarifying. Just wanted to make sure.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next thing, new business. Town Administrative Search Committee, and we have the job description right here. It's rather lengthy, but it has been worked over considerably to get it to the form that it's in. The committee put in a lot of meetings and time and research going over this. Would anybody from the committee like to read this? Would anybody be nice enough to read
You want me to
this?
read the whole thing?
For the record, yeah.
All right, well, for
We could take
starters,
turns if you'd like.
for starters, this is a draft that we wanted your feedback on.
Okay.
This isn't the final version of this. There's additional stuff that would go with this to add to a job posting to make it fully official.
Well, we've been hyping it up tonight, so.
I know. So this is, and thank you to the committee that's worked really hard on
Yes.
this. They
Yep.
put in a lot of time.
Absolutely.
We used a lot of other towns' write-ups. We've read through probably, how many, Michelle, 7, 8 different job descriptions. It was a lot. And it was a lot of hours spent putting this together. And again, this is the draft. We haven't gone through for spelling and all that stuff, but we wanted your feedback. That's why I sent it to you last week, so you could have a chance to read it ahead of time. But now, for the purposes of what we're doing here, I guess I'll read this out loud, all 3.5 pages of it. So it's a job description of the North Brookfield Town Administrator. Purview, oversees coordination of the efficient operation of the town pursuant to the requirement of policies, procedures. I'm going to read a little faster than normal speaking.
Sure.
Just so we can
If you
get
need a
through this.
break and somebody else wants to take over.
Procedures, bylaws, state statutes, regulations, and federal laws on behalf of the Select Board. Supervises, directs, and assumes responsibility of the administration of all functions and activities for which Office of Town Administrator is given authority, responsibility, or control via bylaw, town meeting vote, and oops, that's a little bit of a typo there, it's all right. And/or vote of the Select Board. Now what we did is we grouped it into categories of things they would be doing as part of their job. First one is interactions with the Select Board. Attends all regular and special meetings of the Select Board, provides informational support at said meetings and any other proceedings involving the Select Board. Receives and makes appropriate disposition or referral of all Select Board correspondence and communications. Maintains complete records, provides reports, background information, and communication to the Select Board. Brings to the attention of the Select Board all information relevant to the performance of the office of the Select Board. Oversees the preparation of the Select Board's agenda and acts for the Select Board in accordance with policies. Works together with the board's administrative assistant to plan, post, and hold meetings and public hearings. Develops policy proposals and recommends policy alternatives to the Select Board. Investigates and makes recommendations on questions coming before the Select Board. Initiates special studies with the approval of or at the discretion of the Select Board. Provides training for newly elected Select Board members, including but not limited to policies and current issues, including pertinent background information. Facilitates adoption of short and long-range goals and objectives in conjunction with Select Board and oversees implementation of and evaluates current programs and services and recommends changes to meet emerging needs. Personnel management. Makes recommendations on personnel staffing requirements, oversees staffing and recruitment processes, serves on selection teams as appropriate, processes all proper documentation for new hires, including coordination with payroll and accounting. coordinates and advises the Select Board regarding the appointments to boards and committees and hiring staff over which the Select Board has final approval as the hiring authority. May recommend removal of the same in writing and otherwise in accordance with town bylaws and state and federal regulations. Participates in collective bargaining and contract negotiations and dispute resolution involving any labor matter within the purview of the Select Board and monitors implementation of collective bargaining agreements. Acts as human resources administration / liaison in conjunction with the treasurer. Maintains personnel files in partnership with the treasurer. Provides information in language to update policies and procedures as necessary according to state and federal statutes for the approval of the Select Board. That's page 1. Maintains the town's employee handbook and updates as needed. Consults with department heads, board and committee members, and employees on sensitive issues involving performance problems, health issues, management styles, leave and attendance, and job assignments. Participates in the investigation and representation of the town in administrative matters such as unemployment, workers' compensation, and discrimination complaints / hearings / proceedings. Assures compliance with all state and federal personnel mandates, i.e. ADA, FMLA, sexual harassment, ethics, unemployment, workers' compensation, discrimination prevention, and any applicable local laws, policies, and procedures, i.e. occupational safety, CORI checks. Develops, conducts, or provides training for town officials and employees as needed in federal, state, and local statutes, policies, and bylaws related to human resources issues. Develops training topics and conducts training for the professional development of the staff. Analyzes complex and difficult administrative problems and develops relevant and realistic plans, programs, and recommendations. Liaison between boards. Serves as Select Board's liaison and public information officer to the town boards or committees, local, statewide, intermunicipal, regional, and federal agencies. Partners with citizens and other outside public and private agencies. Assists citizens with their interaction with town departments. Coordinates with the Select Board, departments, boards, and committees on the delivery of town services. Shall be accessible and available for consultation with boards, committees, and staff of the town, whether appointed or elected, and shall be responsive to requests for assistance. Response to inquiries, requests for assistance, and complaints. Refers citizens to appropriate departments and staff members. Investigates complaints from a variety of sources. Develops responses, and when appropriate, directs corrective action. Establishes working relationship with and acts as the Board of Selectmen's representative to the regional organizations and appropriate county, state, and federal officials and departments. Assists in the preparation of materials for meetings with the Select Board. Attends all such meetings as needed and advises the Select Board as appropriate. Grants and long-term revenue. Coordinates the development of strategic financial goals with the financial staff, finance committee, and Select Board for the town and recommends appropriate policies and practices. Monitors fiscal operations throughout the fiscal year, reports financial conditions, coordinates with departments and committees, and reports to the Selectmen as requested. Reviews all revenues collected and recommends changes to fees, charges, and development of new sources of revenue. Prepares applications for grants, administers grants received, works with appropriate state, federal, and private officials on various town projects as required. Assures the town effectively pursues federal and state grants and other sources of non-tax revenue where applicable. Keep track of existing and recurring expenditures with a focus on streamlining and cost savings. That's the end of page 2. Page 3, insurance. Attends Insurance Advisory Committee, works with town treasurer, serves as primary contact regarding the town's general insurance programs. Town council, works with town council on matters affecting town government and matters involving litigation. Acts as primary liaison with legal counsel on matters relevant to the town. Permits and licenses, administers the permit and license procedures with the Select Board. Budgets, develops the operating and capital budgets of the town, including planning documents, scheduling, and coordinating with all departments, boards, and committees the required documentation to complete consolidated capital improvement budgets. Analyzes budget reports, financial statements, requests for the proposal, and other documents. Makes recommendations and forward documents for further action as required. Responsible for preparing the town's annual budget for review and approval of the Finance Committee and Select Board. Town meeting. Responsible for the preparation and presentation of the town's annual operating budget, capital budget to the Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee. Participates in the development of and revision to the capital improvement program. Responsible for the preparation of the annual and special town meeting warrants. Responsible for the town report. Monitors the financial condition of the town. Supervises the maintenance of financial records. Signs warrants for payment of the town's obligations. Reporting. Coordinates compilation of annual town reports. Prepares variety reports, memoranda, presentations, analytical and statistical reviews, and correspondence, including on the Board of Selectmen's behalf. Public interaction, responds to inquiries, complaints, and problems, provides assistance to department heads, town staff, local and state officials, business and community leaders, citizens, media, and the general public. Serves as the town's public relations officer, responsible for maintenance of the town's website content and other communications assets and facilitating better communication with citizens. Answer complaints and refers complaints to the proper town department for attention and submits recommendations for the disposition of specific complaints to the Board of Selectmen, developed and administers processes required to resolve complaints, concerns, and issues from the public and from within the town, keeps records of complaints and important communications. End of page 3. Page 4, procurement, acts as chief procurement officer and shall be responsible for the purchase of all supplies and materials and equipment except for books and other media of the library, and shall approve the award of all contracts for all departments of the town. Shall make purchases for departments not under his or her purview only upon accordance with requisitions duly signed by the heads of such departments. Other job duties, oversees and ensures that infrastructure requirements, i.e. computer information systems, databases, records are managed effectively, drafts budget requirements, purchase plans for necessary technical replacements and/or upgrades that are compliant with applicable standards and needs, researches and analyzes current practices and trends in local government administration, prepares management reports, policy statements, and other materials for consideration by the Board of Selectmen and other boards and commissions, maintains professional competence through participation in workshops, seminars, and training programs provided by professional organizations, performs all other duties as assigned, performs similar or related duties as required, directed, or as the situation dictates, and performs all other related duties and functions as may be required or directed by the Select Board.
Thank you, Tim. Good job.
I'm available for auctions.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve, to accept the draft job description for the town administrator.
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion?
Yes. I just have one edit that I'd love to see included in there, and that is under personnel management, just a line that defines specifically performs regular performance reviews and creates a schedule for those performance reviews, just so that we have that documentation on file for town employees.
To that end, we did not put specifically performing the reviews in there because more often than not, that is a department manager's job. So to keep track of them and collect them is good, but they can't actually.
So maybe creating the schedule then, so that they
Yeah,
are
create the
done,
schedule
filed,
and keep copies of the files.
Yep.
We can add
Okay.
something like that, but we don't want them to have the expectation that they're going to be doing everybody's reviews because that's not appropriate.
Right.
So do you want to maybe amend it so you're approving it pending or with us, with the understanding that we'll put something in there regarding the performance reviews and we can workshop the language on that as a committee?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And to make sure that the department heads are doing reviews.
Well, that's kind of, I think, the point.
Yes. Yeah, just
Yeah.
creating a schedule and managing that process.
Yeah, so I mean, that's part of like we're trying to be vague when we said it acts as a human resources
vague.
administration thing,
I'm just, yeah,
Yeah.
just trying to make it a little
So-
more specific, that's all, for that piece.
we promise Scouts Honor to
Yeah, well, the,
workshop that.
the reviews and such would be more on the line of, they would be doing department head reviews.
It's almost as though they need to determine who they would be reviewing as part of their initial
Right.
becoming into the job.
Right. So they wouldn't be reviewing anyone under the police chief, they'd be reviewing the police chief.
Right.
Same with the fire chief or the highway super or whoever else the case may be. So,
And maybe managing the records of the others.
I think this whole thing is a meddling situation on all the departments. I think it's going to cause havoc in the departments, and I would like to read something that I wrote up. Instead of a town administrator, which this sounds like a town manager to me, because it takes most of the governing authority out of the department head's purviews and puts it on one person, and you can't pay this guy enough money. He's going to need 2 assistants if you're going to have him do all of this stuff that's said in here. I cannot see that happening by one guy. Is it okay if I read this here?
well, let me answer your point there first, because all this stuff in this list, that's not for one guy, is what we're supposed to be doing.
And we've been doing it, and
Yeah, but not all.
the town government is supposed to be from
Right.
way back when they made
Right.
it, it's supposed to be a
And-
selectman.
Right, and this here, each one of these lines says for the select board. They're working for the select board, for the select board, for the select board. Discretion of the select board, okay?
It gives
So
this guy,
these things,
he's gonna be meddling in all the departments here.
but he's not. The thing is, we're supposed to be doing this, we're part-time,
Yep.
we don't get paid, even our stipends, we gave that up to the budget, all right? Now, I've been on the Board of Selectmen a long time, and I was on it for 4.5 years back in 2008. I've been the chair for probably 4.5 years out of all that time. And I've seen the job get much more difficult than it was back in those days. Even since I've been on this time, it's gotten much more difficult. And a lot of that has to do seriously with the state and the obligations that the state puts on us. All right? And just last week, just what I paid attention to with the complaints I fielded and the people I've talked to, I've got a solid 25 hours on town business. Okay? And that does nothing, because all I get to do is when we go back to talk about all these things, like for instance, I talked to a couple people about the bridges that aren't done yet, and when we have that discussion, I'll be bringing that to this meeting, and it waits until we have a meeting, you know? So anyway, to answer your point, I don't think that the job description itself is too much for somebody who's on full-time. And if you want to go ahead and explain what you have there and read it, we'll look at that objectively as well.
This is my answer to that. I think the Board of Selectmen needs an assistant, other than our administrative assistant. The Board of Selectmen's assistant shall first and foremost answer to the Board of Selectmen. At no time will the Board of Selectmen's assistant usurp the governing authority of the Board of Selectmen. The assistant's main goal shall be to write and secure various grants for all departments and committees, and work to make sure grant money is spent in a timely fashion within said department. The assistant shall attend all Board of Selectmen's meetings, regular, special, annual, etc. The assistant shall work for and with the Board of Selectmen to make sure, without meddling in daily operations, that departments are running smoothly. The assistant will at times be asked by the Board of Selectmen to field and investigate complaints for the taxpayers. The assistant shall abide by all town bylaws, rules, and regulations, and Mass General Law. The Board of Selectmen's assistant will assist the Board of Selectmen administrative assistant when asked to help with meeting agendas, minutes, town meetings, elections, and other office-related issues. The Board of Selectmen assistant position shall be part-time, non-benefit eligible for a 6-month trial or probationary period. Toward the end of the 6-month period, a progress report will come to the Board of Selectmen. At this time, a decision will be made to either keep the Board of Selectmen's assistant and progress to a full-time or remain part-time. That's my take on this. I don't think we need a full-time town administrator. I think we need somebody that can write grants for the town and make sure that, that's what we're looking for. And it doesn't say grants until page 3 or wherever that is.
Well,
That should be first and foremost,
The whole
to write
thing is
grants.
binding. The whole entire job description would be binding.
But you're paying somebody hundreds of thousands of dollars. We can do this with a stipend to begin with, and if they work out, there's no contract, then you make a contract after 6 months.
It would probably be, their salary would probably be less than $100,000 a year, based on what we have in the ARPA, even if we approve that $100,000, if we want to get them for 3 years, it would probably be around 80 or 90. It wouldn't be like hundreds of thousands, but it's all up for discussion.
Right.
I hear that back there. So, you know,
And we're not supposed to use ARPA money for recurring expenses, because after this,
for this here, you can use it. If you read the second and third ARPA regulations that they came out with, you can hire above and beyond what you had pre-pandemic, which was against the original rules. And you can also hire administrative staff, which this is. So yes, it is an actual ARPA-approved expenditure. Mrs. Petritis.
I would like clarification on what the vague wording of meddling is versus being a liaison between your board and departments, because I'm having difficulty understanding that.
Where's procurement? It's just one. Acts as chief procurement officer and shall be responsible for the purchase of all supplies and materials except for books and other media of the library, and shall approve the award of all contracts for all departments of the town. Shall make purchases for departments not under his/her purview, only upon in accordance with requisitions duly signed by the heads of such departments. So every time the highway department needs to get something, it's got to get this guy's approval.
No.
They work on a shoestring over there.
They also don't follow the procurement laws right now, and we can't afford paper, John, because we're not running this town right. So saying that we can get an assistant to maybe help figure things out does not cover the breadth of the issues that we're having in this town, by a long shot.
So
And I'm
this-
gonna tell you this, highway didn't show up to that meeting, nor did police, nor did fire. The school did, the water department did. They're not interested because they want to close ranks, that's great, but this town is falling apart financially because we are not handling it. That's the bottom line. This isn't a meddler. This is a person to collectively pull us together, get us organized, help us find more money, and then, I don't know, watch over contracts that we're not watching over, like the police chief. We could dig into what happened there and how we lost ourselves an additional $30,000 a year. There are so many problems in this town, John. An assistant to an assistant isn't going to do it. I'm sorry, that's just not going to work.
That's your opinion, and that's my opinion,
And-
so.
And, well, yeah, it's, you're creating this position with no benefits, and it's part-time, and it would.
That has to be worked out, just like Tim
Well,
said, this stuff in here has to be worked out.
I'm going by what you
Yep.
wrote,
Yep.
okay? And this actually creates more work for us. If you follow what you said here.
This is gonna save the town money also. If we can get grant money, it can, the grant money that is top of the line thing here, not,
The thing, if we're hiring somebody
Without experience.
without experience that we have to train, that we have to follow around and make sure that they're doing their job right, and we're reviewing it, then we have to, they're not gonna be qualified enough to write a grant.
you think
Grants
there's,
take-
you think there's gonna be a guy with the experience to do all this?
Yeah.
Yes, they exist.
Where is he gonna come from?
They're working in other
Well,
towns right
you
now.
gotta-
So you're gonna get a guy from Brookfield to come over here to work in North Brookfield,
It's a woman who
or whoever it is.
is
a
in
person.
Brookfield.
Not necessarily. It could be from somewhere else.
Availability is the issue of the ad. It's not for you to say we can't hire because we don't think there's somebody out there to do it. That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, that's the point of putting this together, creating an ad, doing everything that we're doing to go out there and find that person. And we've talked to other towns with experience. We know these people are out there. And the longer we wait to get this person, the more in debt we're gonna get. Our credit rating is going down, we don't have savings, we're in trouble, this town is in trouble. And I know it's not a place we're used to being because we were great for a while, but we're not great now. And anybody not admitting that has their head in the sand.
Tim, you got something?
Sorry, Tim.
No, that's okay. I did have something, and I forgot.
I thought past. All right, so about the job description itself,
Yes.
is there any more discussion?
No.
All right. So what I'll do is I guess I'll entertain a motion to amend the job description as noted.
I remember what I was gonna say.
Oh,
There are a lot of department heads who are supposed to be writing grants. The idea here is to assist them in finding them and also to track the recurring ones and make sure that that's coming up. You're proposing a person that just writes the grants for them. There are department heads who are supposed to be doing that. And we need someone who can just keep track on that and make sure that they're getting them done. Offer them help if available, but that's not, you don't need a grant writer. You need someone to keep an eye on who's writing the grants. Sorry.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the draft of the job description with that one amendment for
Performance reviews.
performance reviews.
Yes, so moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
All right. So that being said, Ashley, if you want to just write that in real quick and send it to town council to review the job description. Yeah. All right.
Should she wait for the amendment?
We just approved it. What?
Should she
She'll-
wait for
she'll-
the amendment?
Yeah, she'll work with you on the amendment. All right. Back to the ARPA recommendations.
Yes.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve $100,000 additional for the town administrator salary from ARPA funds.
So moved.
I'll second. Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to see that back up to the original 400,000 so that it's earmarked and that the money is available should they need it for the candidates that I think we want to bring in. So
I
that
don't
would
think we should
be,
be adding any more money to the 200,000 that we previously.
so that would be an
held at.
additional 200,000, not 100,000.
I don't think we
Okay,
should
but
be
the-
adding anything.
Well, the motion was for 100, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Tanya?
I just want to try to be clear. We're talking about $200,000 for the salary for a year for this administrator?
No,
plus
multiple years,
So
No.
multiple years, how many years that could,
as much as we can get.
Up to
If we
three.
had the
Up to three.
400,000, we could do the 3.
Potentially.
yeah, but,
Don't
okay, so what,
commit to anything.
give me a ballpark of what you're thinking you're going to hire this person for 1 year. You obviously have an idea in your head.
If we hired them, let's say, at $100,000, the problem is $50,000 additional is needed for benefits and all of the other things that go into having an employee. It's not like your pay is the only expense. That's why we need to have the additional money so that if we offer them $75,000, it's going to cost us $120,000, let's say, per year, and we want to give them an opportunity to scale up. Because if they are good at what they do and they do their job well, then eventually they will be funding themselves through either savings or helping with the grants or other ways that you can tighten up the finances with them.
Cutting back
So
on
you're
town
aiming at-
council.
Yeah.
You're aiming at around $75,000 a year, is that what you just said?
That was-
What we've heard,
That was hypothetical.
yeah, what we've heard is higher
a
than,
number, it's got to be a number.
well, what we've heard is higher than that, but we don't know, it's based on the candidate's experience. So if we get a really experienced candidate that says, I'll do it for 95, then we would certainly consider offering them what they're worth. But we don't know who that person is or what they're worth yet because we haven't met them.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What happens if you have a legal issue with you have to dismiss them, and then you have to pay them?
Well, that would all be
So what-
contract.
What I'm saying is...
That's all involved in contracts, so that's,
And
saying-
insurance.
you know,
Okay,
Some
if
of
the
that is
insurance
insurance.
doesn't cover it.
well, it depends what the issue is, and it all depends on what the contract says. So-
Exactly, so exit plans...
So the contract is going to be the most important part of the thing is, if you are, not great at your job and we need to get rid of you, that'll be outlined in the contract by people that write contracts.
So the question I have is, it sounds like if that's not done well, you're out $400,000 because you have an obligation to pay this guy or girl, and there's little recourse because there'll be legal liability to it.
If the contract is done poorly, that's probably likely.
Yeah, but we-
If that happens.
I would just like to remind the board of what happened in the school district with their ironclad contract that that fell through the cracks with Mass General Law and the lawsuit that we had to pay for with that. So I just want
No,
to make sure that's at the forefront of your mind, that Mass General Law goes over any contract that you have. So we have found in this town that the contracts doesn't save us from still ending up having to pay out because Mass General Law usurps all that.
And that's part of the reason.
In that case, it was a breach of contract, I'm sorry. There was a breach of that contract.
Yeah, that was,
That was not the contract's fault, it was
Yeah.
the administration's fault. They breached the contract. If a contract is good and
right.
adhered to, then it's not a problem.
And the
That
other-
was not a contract issue.
The other problem with that is judges were ruling against towns in those cases, even though it was an actual breach of contract. So,
Yeah, but it goes back to the same point this gentleman was saying, was that
Right.
you could still end up
right, but that's,
doling out a bunch of free cash that we don't have because a judge or Mass General Law usurps all of your contracts. That's
well,
all.
right
That's all I
now,
just wanted to point out.
right now, we're kind of failing, so.
Well, that would make a big failure.
It might be a win
Just
too.
Good, right, exactly. It could
It's
be a
gonna
win.
take time.
It could be a great thing, which
It's gonna-
is what,
What we're doing is not working.
It's gonna
study
take,
after study.
it's gonna take a lot of time, and it's gonna take a lot of people looking at a lot of things, so.
And the select board of this very town, for 2 decades, has been recommending a town administrator or manager. So this isn't just citizens going off the rails. This is what the town parents, we'll call them, since they're not all fathers, have been requesting and wanting because they understand the value of it for this town.
Municipal government is so complex now. You know, back when you started, I'm sure it was much easier to go through things. It's not easy anymore.
It's not. I can speak from experience. I'm the newest one on the board. I've only been here a year, and it's a huge learning curve. I've got to study before every meeting, essentially, in order to get all my ducks in a row. And if we hire somebody with experience, now we're not relying on the election cycle to like hope and pray that we've got somebody who's going to do the research. Because that's what we have to do when we're learning this position. We've got somebody already knowledgeable on all of these things. And they can,
It
and
sounds like there's a lot of default to that person, whoever that person is, wishful thinking and avoiding responsibility in the town to actually address the issues.
It's
So that's
not
what
avoiding
it sounds like.
responsibility.
not at all. No.
I don't think so.
It's things that aren't being done now. There's
Yeah,
no
but-
avoidance happening, it's just not.
So this
being
job
done.
description is our job.
Yeah.
We all work full-time. You know, and over the years, it's gotten to be more and more complicated, where, you know, whoever's the chair has to sit on the phone and do a lot of things during their workday. Thankfully, I'm self-employed, so I have a little bit of leeway in that, but, you know, it's just, that doesn't work. You know?
It's
The
also
day-to-day
the-
operations.
It's the additional benefit of continuity where we don't necessarily have that with elected officials.
Exactly.
All right.
I highly recommend anybody who's interested reading, they're all on the town website, the Financial Management Review of 2007, the Town Government Study of 2008, the Master Plan of 2007, and the Master Plan of 2022. All of them have done extensive study work around town administration, and it's all in there.
All right. So we have a motion on the table. All in favor? For the $100,000?
Aye.
No.
Aye. All right. Motion passes.
May I make a motion to add $100,000 from ARPA in addition to this $100,000? To make the total $400,000, which is what the initial ARPA recommendation was.
I will second for discussion. I'm not comfortable with doing that right now.
Okay?
I got a text saying that we don't have another 100,000 in ARPA for that.
Okay, I rescind that motion.
If that,
Well, we'll vote no.
All right, we'll vote.
if that helps at all.
So we voted no.
Okay.
All right. All right. Request for resources, trunk or treat. Kay Griffin requests, the date of the request was 10/12, date of the event's 10/31. She's requesting electricity at the Common for Tabby LeBlanc's DJ station. Time set up 4 o'clock, start time 5:30, end time 7:30. And it's been signed off by the police chief, fire chief, and EMS. I'll entertain a motion to approve the request for resources for trunk or treat.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
I just would like to make a point that we'll probably also be using that same electricity for food resources. So
Yeah,
I
she
don't know if
paid the
that-
$25
Okay,
to the,
okay.
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that was included.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next. The North Brookfield Council on Aging, at an executive meeting held on October 12th, 2023, voted to recommend that Michelle Thayer be appointed to the position of Permanent Director of North Brookfield Senior Center at your earliest convenience. We feel that she knows what the job entails. She has had extensive experience as the interim director and has done an excellent job in that position. She's well qualified for the director position. All right, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Michelle Thayer as the full-time senior center director.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Oh, I think it's great. Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Well, welcome aboard.
Yes, welcome.
And I think you can get sworn in right behind you.
See me after the meeting.
All right. USDA grant contract for the sewer upgrade.
We got an additional $993,000. Well, Jim got another $993,000 from USDA as part of the grant,
All right.
so.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to accept the grant money for the sewer upgrade.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
How much was that? 900.
$993,000.
Is that in addition to the other USDA grants?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Holy cheese and
And what was
crackers,
that?
thank you.
There was
That
9
was
mil?
just,
There was 9 million,
it was about
9.1.
9 million.
Well,
Yeah,
we were down
980.
to that from other grants, I think. We're
9.1, and we had to raise the rest to 23.
Yes, I think, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact amount. It was just under $10 million for the original USDA grant, and then we just got another almost million. So,
Yeah, well, that'll be good for borrowing.
yes.
Yep, sounds good.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, let's see what's next here. Set the date for the special town meeting. December 8th. Articles are due by November 9th. I'll entertain a motion to set the date for the special town meeting for December 8th. And that's 7 PM, right?
Yes.
And that'll be at the school, so.
That's it on here or on yours? Okay.
It's on the agenda.
It just says December 8th, doesn't,
Oh, it doesn't say it on this thing.
you know, the articles are due by November 9th, so I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
No?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right. Complete Streets Extension Letter, which one is that?
We'll just pass you the original.
That's fine. All right, so the town of North Brookfield is formally requesting an extension of time from December 31st to December 2023 to December 31st, 2024 to complete the construction activities for the subject project. This project is currently fully designed and the contract for bidding services with BSC Group was recently submitted. We expect this project to go out to bid later this year or at the latest in the spring of 2024. If you have any questions about this request, please do not hesitate to reach out to me directly. Thank you again for the opportunity to work together through our infrastructure needs. Jason Petridis, Chair of the Board of Selectmen. So we signed the contract for BSC Group last week to get the ball rolling on that. It's been going on for quite some time, and we were just waiting for them to change the plans to what we wanted. And they did that, so we signed that contract. So now I'll entertain a motion to sign that letter asking for more time to initiate that grant money.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope, let's move it along.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
You sign it and give it back.
We have a one-day liquor license request from Jim Buzzell and the Lions Club. It's the 17th annual Apple Run Walk for Diabetes at Brookfield Orchards. They do it every year. We approve it every year. The date of the event is Saturday, October 28th, 2023, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the one-day liquor license.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll ask you later, I guess, but, oh yeah, sorry.
All right. Now, do we have the November election warrant, right? You want to read that?
I don't have it. To either of the constables of the city or town of North Brookfield, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of said city or town who are qualified to vote in the special state election to vote at North Brookfield Senior Center, 29 Forest Street, North Brookfield. Polling location is 1 on Tuesday, the 7th of November, 2023, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the following purpose: to cast their votes in the special state election for the candidates for the following office: Senator in General Court for the Worcester and Hampshire District. Hereof fail not, and make return of this warrant will your doings thereon at the time and place of said voting. Given under our hands.
I'll entertain a motion to sign the warrant and post the warrant.
So moved.
That's
It's here. And then we just say one more signature there. Oh, second, sorry.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Brooke, would you read that next contract amendment?
Yes. City Town Owner Contract Amendment Number 1. Kathleen Windward is the name of the property owner. The following amendment is herein made to the contract documents for the property improvements being made to the building located at 8 Grove Street, Brookfield, Mass. 01506. Said improvements are funded by a deferred payment loan from the fiscal 20 North Brookfield Community Development Program. Description of and reason for changes. Initial septic work revealed the following issues that needed to be resolved in order to ensure safe installation of the new septic system: saw, cut, or remove a concrete pad, de-water rear of property, Presby environmental system, pump additional cesspool, and fill additional cesspool. The base project amount was $40,000. It needs an additional $1,700 for a total of $41,700.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the town and owner contract amendment for the PVPC grant.
So
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Aye. All right, public comment period. Tanya.
I would like to ask the board, in regards to, ready? Hold on. In regards to the bylaw that states, no person shall behave himself in a disorderly manner nor use any indecent or profane language or gestures in any public way or place in the town. So that particular bylaw talks about a person acting in a certain way, and so I want to know if that translates at all to the signage at 80 Grove Street that the first graders walked by on the way to the police and fire station today, and then walked back across to go back to their school. Is there any recourse that we have to not have that profanity on the street?
Well, you know what? That's a good question.
No, I have an answer to that.
And
Do you?
I don't have an answer,
Okay,
but go
yeah,
ahead.
I do. So the Supreme Court actually overruled that because we asked, or a group of people asked that same question about the F. Biden flags and things when people were standing out. And that's the answer we got. The Supreme Court overruled that action in later years. That bylaw, I believe, is from 1967, and it was overruled, I think, and I don't know if I have my years right, but I believe it was overruled in 1972, or somewhere around there.
Does it still apply though? Because that's the F Biden, but not the whole, it's not.
Oh, no, it was the whole word.
spelled out.
Oh, it was spelled out.
It is, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's-
It's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, because even in regards to that, is there a bylaw about unregistered vehicles?
That there might
You're
be.
allowed
That
one, I
one.
believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I hear
hear your frustration on that.
It is.
I do.
It's absolutely a shame, and
The first graders walked by it
Yes.
today.
yes.
Yeah.
You were next?
Okay, yes. My name is Karen Bissett, and I own the property at 10 Ann Street in North Brookfield. Some of you may know, but on July 21st of this year, my neighbor's tree, white oak tree, split and ended up almost coming down onto my house and took 2 of my trees down in my front yard and also blocked the road for Saturday morning. At that time, both myself and my son asked the highway department supervisor if they would take the white oak tree down that was of the same age that sits on the edge of my property that I feel is an endangerment to my house because, first of all, if you look at the back of it, there is a rot at the bottom of the trunk of that tree. And just the size of the tree, if one of those branches were to come down onto my roof, it would probably go through my garage or through my living room. We were told no, that the tree was absolutely healthy, okay? So I made arrangements with J. Bonin Landscape Company, which is a tree removal company that is fully licensed and fully insured. I made sure that it was fully licensed and fully insured, and I was going to take the tree down at my own expense. They came yesterday morning to take the tree down, and Jason Benoit came by in his truck and got out of the truck and told John Bonin to stop and desist because that is a town tree. And then he made a slander towards Jay Bonin and told him that he had a rotten reputation. Well, does Jason Benoit have a file with, people, saying that they've had problems with this tree company? Because if he doesn't, to me, that's slander. I was a director of nurses. I know you can't say stuff like that as an employee of any operation unless you have information to back it up. So then, John and I talked, and we decided that maybe he would just take the branches off that were over my garage. Well, at that point in time, then the police showed up. Lieutenant Daly showed up. Now, he was very nice. He didn't say that that he was going to arrest anybody or anything, but he showed up. Why the heck did he show up? What was the purpose of the police coming down to Air Street when the road wasn't blocked, there was no public disturbance, and nothing was going on that was a police matter, okay? At that point in time, Mr. Bonin said to me, "I'm done, Karen. I'm not going to have a problem with North Brookfield. I'm not touching this tree." So now, I want the tree down, and I think, okay, it's a town tree, and it poses an endangerment to my house. What do I do? What do I do? Who do I go to? I was told by the police officer to come up here and talk to you guys, okay? Now the town is going to be out several $1,000s if they have to take that tree down that I was going to pay to take the tree down. What was the big deal? Was it just because Jason Benoit didn't like this contractor that I hired? I don't know.
Well, we don't either. But thank you for bringing that to our attention, and we will look into it. And I'll come and look at your tree too.
Okay.
So-
You know what? My grandchildren and I, there were 3 grandchildren and me sitting on the couch when Dave Racine's tree came bounding down into my yard.
That must have been frightening.
It was very frightening, and I don't want the same thing to happen with this tree. So please look into it for me, and I'm sorry I'm upset, but that was a terrible,
that's fine.
terrible experience.
We'll look into it and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Who else? All right. So we have an announcement per the police chief. Trick or treat will be Tuesday, October 31st from 5:30 to 7:30. All right. Let's entertain the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.